Do we have Dr. Palmer? Oh, yay. This is going to be so awesome. All right, let me give you a little intro to this young lady. And I call her young because everybody's younger than me at this point. And I got to tell you, first of all, she's stunning. I mean, just literally, I would have no problem going to a marriage counselor that looked like this. She's just beautiful. She's smart. She's a PhD. Oh, my God, she's got all these degrees. She was the former Miss Vermont, USA. Yeah, this girl's got it all going on. I'm telling you right now. And she does a lot of work with I want to ask her about this, about this 15-minute hypnotherapy that removes pain and unwanted emotions. Austin, you could totally use that.
I'm going to do it right now while she's talking about it.
Right. We got 15 minutes. But I look forward to really chatting with her because I think she's going to shed a lot of light on questions I have. Dr. Palmer, are you there?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Are you still in Florida?
I am. It's a pretty lovely day here today. Where are you based out of? L.A. or?
We're in Park City, Utah, actually, Salt Lake.
Oh, Utah. All right. How's the weather out there?
It's dry. It's warm and dry, unlike where you're at, which is probably humidity of 150%.
Yeah, it's very hot down here. Well, thanks for the introduction.
Well, thank you. Listen, I have a lot of questions, and I want to ask you. I don't know if you heard. I read an article in the New York Times that was recently published. It was called "Why You Will Marry the Wrong Person," and I got to be honest with you. When I read it, I think he or she. I don't know. Let me ask you this. Tell me if you think this is a guy or a girl. Alain. Elaine or Alan? Is that a French? Because the last name is Botten. De Botten. So I don't know if it's.
I don't know. You never know nowadays, Bill.
I know, right?
What that's going to be. It could be like a combination of both. I'm not sure.
Anyway,
sounds like an interesting name. I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, so it was it was an interesting read. It was, and I think that this person makes a lot of good points, but I think that it's kind of a negative view on marriage, which I'm not a big fan of. And basically, what he or she is saying is that when you're dating, you don't really reveal yourself, your whole self, because you're afraid they're going to leave, that they aren't going to find you attractive or whatever, and that like Gail, like I'll tell you, my wife's name is Gail, and Gail and I've been married now for 36 years, and so when I had her read it too, and she goes, he's got a very negative view of marriage. She goes, and he was saying that we don't marry for happiness. We marry because we don't want to be lonely and single anymore. Now, I don't know that I agree with that. Do you?
Well, some people are just like marrying for security. I mean, people marry for different reasons.
Right.
Hopefully, when you get married, you really love the person. But some people are just getting married to what's safe for them. And not really because they're head over heels in love. And
right.
As we know, unfortunately, some people just marry for money, and that's never a good thing.
No.
A lot of people get divorced because of money and financial issues that then come up in the relationship, cause a lot of problems. But a lot of people get involved in relationships with the wrong people to begin with because they're trying to work out their own issues.
I agree 100% on that. I think that it's because you made an interesting point, Dr. Palmer. You said that, people, but I also believe that when you first get married, you're in love. But I also think that love over 36 years, I will tell you that right now, I love my wife more than I loved her when we got married. Only because I know her now. I know pretty much everything there is to know about her. And I like that person, and I like being with her. So but I was telling Austin, I don't know if you heard before I brought you on, Gail and I were talking about this article, and I said, I don't believe that this, I guess for lack of a better term, this millennial generation, I don't know that people work at marriage anymore. I think, and Gail had a great point. She goes, I wonder if it's a byproduct of our disposable society. Like I was telling Austin, our engineer, that
I think so.
Yeah, like you get your iPhone breaks, you get a new one. The car breaks down, I will just lease a new one. My wife's not happy with me, I'll get a new one. It's like, and I think that's what's happened is that people, like my sisters were this way. One of my sisters, she thought this knight on shining armor was going to come sweep her off her feet, and it's like, yeah, he still farts though. He still, sometimes doesn't put the lid down when he's going to the bathroom.
Right. These common everyday kind of things that people don't know. It's not what people think it is. It's not the reality.
Now,
kind of like a fantasy person, and then once you actually get into the reality, you have to accept them for who they really are.
Right. Now, do you think...
You live in sort of like, you were saying, like this replacement society where people can replace other people so easily, just online or Tinder or whatever. People, find other people so easily. And that's just the kind of world we live in.
I wonder, Lisa, I'm sorry, I was going to call you Lisa. Do you mind if I call you Lisa?
That's fine.
Okay, good.
Only you, though.
Okay, all right, yeah. See you there? I just wonder listen, I think there's some good things that are coming out with this. I'm not a big fan of the, swipe left, swipe right. If you don't like me, if you like me, or let's hook up website, or, www.sex.com. I'm not a huge fan of that. But I do think that there's I have a question for you. And by the way, she knows I'm going to ask this question. When Gail and I got married, there was no cell phones. There was no, basically no internet. So, but now I hear about these, I see it, like people like my buddy loves to show me pictures of, like when my girlfriend sent me, I go, dude, you know what? I really don't think she's probably knows you're showing me these pictures, which would be very cool. But I just think, I wonder in this day and age, like I was telling Gail, we were apart for 2 weeks. She had gone on vacation with her mom, and I was sending these little kind of naughty texts, and she was sending me back these answers that were like, no, that's not you. I'd say, hey, I really miss you. I'm naked. I'm getting ready in the shower, and I would get, that's good. It's not like, ooh, wish I was there, or send me a pic. How do you?
That's what you were expecting from
Yes,
from your
yes.
wife?
I was expecting her to go, oh, look, I can. And I finally said, I'm not going to show these to people. I'm not going to put them up on the website. I go, but she had an interesting question, and I should have thought about this. I should have thought about it, Lisa, but I didn't. When we were early married, I asked her one time what her fantasies were. And she said she didn't have fantasies because fantasies don't come true. They're just fantasies. Because Gail is very much A plus B equals C. She's very black and white. And so her response to me when I said, why wouldn't you answer back with a sexy text or whatever? She goes, what good does it do? She goes, we're apart. And I was like, well, she's
very practical.
Yes, practical is the word. Thank you. My question to you is I'm on your couch now. Is this something I just got to accept, or is there a way? Do you feel is this a bad thing or a good thing that people are able to do this these days?
Which part? I mean,
let me. Great. I threw two questions at you there at one time, just because I've been excited to talk to you about this. Is this something that I should just say? Okay, you know what? We're both almost 60. We're not 20-year-olds, snapping pictures of each other. Or is it something you go, well, I think you guys could work this out?
Well, I think that, you guys have been married a long time, and people sometimes can change over the years and kind of have to reevaluate what your needs are and what her needs are and share that with each other. And I think that one of the things that is really important in a relationship is shared dreams and aspirations, and the couple really has to kind of have a future that they're living into with each other and be able to communicate to each other what the needs are.
Right.
So if the needs are for more passion and she's not able to deliver that, then it could actually, cause conflict between you. Now, if you have enough positive in your relationship where you're able to accept that from her and it doesn't end up being a hindrance, then it's okay. But it's not sort of a one-size-fits-all answer for every relationship because it's going to depend on a lot of other factors and what's good. And every relationship has negative in it. But the thing that differentiates the relationships that do better from the ones that don't, a lot of it has to do with how many positives are in the relationship and sort of the positive sentiment override, if you will, that helps you to overcome those negatives that happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I would say that. Listen, she's probably going to kill me. Our sex life is wonderful. We have, it's still very passionate, and I think it's just her saying, what's the point? It's like, I can text you this stuff, but what good is it going to do other than just get you all worked up? And I'm not going to be home for 2 weeks. So I kind of understand that, but I just wonder. Now, the second question was, how do you feel like in this day and age of relationships, because it's obviously different than when I was dating, with this whole media of using the phone and the sexting and all this, is this a good thing?
I actually think it takes away from the relationship.
Right.
Because I think people are living in this virtual reality of the person, and they're not making it real. So they're kind of in a fantasy in their mind about how everything should be or how their relationship is, but it's just based on sort of their virtual experience of the person. And so you see a lot of times people on dates, and also they are distracting themselves on their phone. They may be talking to someone else or looking at pictures or whatever, and they're just not engaging with the person in front of them. And I do think that this says a lot. I think it hinders the relationship. It says a lot about the relationship. You might be using it as a distraction technique, to kind of get away from problems, conflict avoidance, whatever in your relationship. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think that it is a hindrance from real human contact, and a phone can't replace a person.
Right.
And that's what people need to get.
Now, let me ask you, you also do family counseling, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is going to lead me into my next question, because sometimes Gail says I'm a little bit pig-headed about this. I got a real problem with the fact that, we went out to eat the other night, and there was a family of 4, 2 kids and mom and dad. Both the kids had iPads at the dinner table. They're both just glued with headphones on. They were quiet, but I thought, what are we teaching? When I grew up, your parents said, you sit here, you learn how to act like an adult, even though you're a kid. Right. And do you feel like we're using these iPads and phones and all this? And my neighbor in LA has got to be 2 or 3 year old girl, and she's always asking for her mom's iPhone. And I go, my God. What happened to kids that knew how to go out and play?
Be kids, really being kids, playing in the playground and being active, and they're just using their brains differently. And I think that it is going to affect how young kids are able to relate and communicate as they grow up and try to be in real relationships. And it kind of goes back to that virtual reality experience of people rather than actually being engaged and knowing how to be engaged with someone for real.
Well,
so I think it will. I definitely think it will.
I'll give you an example. We have a ranch in Texas. When my son was 5, it used to be our guys' trip. We would drive from L.A. to Texas, to San Antonio, and we go to the ranch. Well, there was nothing but a little cabin on there. No TV, no cable, no phone, no nothing. And one day I was on a backhoe digging a trash pit, and he came outside and he goes, Dad, I'm bored. There's no computer, nothing. Well, I just had dug this big pile of fresh dirt. And I said, why don't you go play in that dirt? And he said, what? And I go, yeah, just go play in the dirt. Once I got him in it, I couldn't get him out of it. It's I don't think kids, they don't use their imagination anymore. Everything is so prepackaged in these video games and, like you said, this virtual reality. And what happens is I think, I don't know your age, but I'm sure that when you were raised, when your parents introduced you to someone, you were supposed to look them in the eye and say hello, hi.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And nowadays you say, "This is our kid John," and he goes, and or he doesn't even look up from his iPad. And I just wonder, are we using these now as a babysitting tool?
Oh, completely, absolutely, 100%. I see that happening all the time. And, the other thing is, you go to a party, and adults are doing this.
Yes.
You go to a party and it's on their cell phone, so it's the kids are going to see what the adults are doing, and they think it's perfectly fine also. So we're role modeling that for people. I mean, it's becoming part of our culture all around.
And I don't think there's any way to stop it. I don't see us going back to being normal people. Because it's I told my friend the other guy, I got an iPhone. I said, I just want to throw this thing in the water sometime. And he goes, yeah, but you can't. You're too attached to it now. And he's right. I went to play golf the other day, and I forgot my phone, and I nearly freaked out. But you know what? I had the most enjoyable round of golf I've had in years because I didn't have my damn phone with me.
It's true. I was talking to a friend about this the other day, about just a time that I remember without text messaging, without my phone, And when I started using it, how different life became.
It's amazing.
It's just like always by my side.
Well, you know, and they even like and I got to tell you something, Lisa, I kind of blame the media a lot on this too. Like we were talking about back, you know, like they actually will make jokes about like there's I guess an app you can get that if your blind date's not going good, you just kind of hit your phone and oh my friend's sick, I got to go. You know, it's like
the other thing though is that everything with these phones, these smartphones is instant. So it's like that instant gratification. If someone sends you a message and they want to hear back from you right away, now.
Yes.
And you don't respond back to them, then they get very upset or impatient. There's a lack of patience now, I think, more and more because of what the technology is programming us to do.
It's where the ADD generation. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It's funny you bring up, it's funny that thing you bring up about the text thing. I'm going to tell you a story. I literally was flying to New York the other day, and I am in the airport bathroom in a stall. I won't go any further than that. And my phone starts beeping. And I look, and it's my friend. And he's texting me. He goes, wait, where are you? What are you doing? Text me back. Come on, man. And I finally finished what I had to do, and I walked outside, and I called him. I go, dude, I was in the bathroom. And he goes, why didn't you text me back? I go, okay, there's a couple things I don't ever do. And one of them is I was in a bathroom one time. A guy sitting in the stall next to me is talking on the phone, and I so wanted to scream out, by the way, he's taking a dump right now while he's talking to you. He's going to the bathroom. There's a good chance he's wiping himself while he's talking. How does that make you feel? And
the thing that you're talking about is there's no boundaries anymore. I mean,
no,
there's no privacy.
God, I love this woman. You are so right.
But it is. It's what it is, and people expect it. I mean, they don't even think, well, they could be taking a shower, or they could be doing something private, and they can't respond, and then the other person is taking offense because they haven't heard from you. And there's none of that anymore. There's like no courtesy, really.
Well, you know, and do you think now, and to tie this all, listen, because I could talk to you for hours, I can tell. This is what, all this plays right back into marriages, I think. And this is why, you know, like as I was telling Austin, I go, I had a buddy, men go through what I call menopause, and it's when they're tired of the wife they've had for 30 years, and all of a sudden now they're going out with a 25, 26-year-old girl. And I'm like, dude, she's going to turn into exactly what you had. You know, it's not like you're going to give her some potion that she's going to stay 25 her whole life. And I just think, I think you're right. I think that it's, with all this instant gratification and where are you not? Why aren't you talking to me? What are you mad? You know. And by the way, and also in text, there's no emotions. And I'm not an emoticon guy. I don't write, "Hey, miss you," smiley face. You know, I don't do that. But so there's no emotions in emails, or so you don't know. Is he pissed?
Some people think that they can express themselves better in text. Some people actually believe that they can express certain things in text, and that they wouldn't in person. But It's all left up for interpretation by the other person because you're not hearing the person's voice, you're not seeing them, you're not getting all of the other aspects of the communication. So you might mean well by sending a text to someone, and then it's being received.
Right.
You're not really sure how it's being received. So that's the problem with it.
Yeah, it's you're right because they don't read it. Like I sent an email to my wife, and she said something. I said, "Oh, great job," and she types back, "What the hell does that mean?" And it just meant great job. There wasn't like the sarcastic, like, "Oh, great job, he finally did something," you know.
Right, you can interpret that in so many different ways depending on the tone that you put with the message in your own head, you know. Right.
Now, so Lisa, explain to me more about this 15-minute hypnotherapy. And in the bio I was reading, it said the removes pain and unwanted emotions from intrusive memories caused by post-traumatic stress, eliminating flashback memories. And does this also work for just like I'll tell you that I'm a nicotine.
Yeah, like relationships. Since we're talking about relationships, let's just say you were in a relationship. Actually, I did one this morning on a patient that was in a relationship a while ago, and she was engaged, and the guy had decided that he didn't want to be engaged to her anymore, and he left her, and so she has all of these abandonment and rejection issues. And, of course, all these emotions attached to that, anger and frustration
Right,
and disappointment and shame and all that. And that subconsciously was buried, and it was affecting a lot of the ways that she was relating in current relationships that were failing one after the next, because a lot of these emotions would then come out at times when maybe the guy wasn't responding to a text or what have you, and then it was creating a lot of anxiety, and then it was causing her to overreact and respond in a way where other guys would want to leave her.
Right.
So what, in that case, we have to do is we have to correct negative core belief systems that come from painful, traumatic memory, which may be I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm unloved. And we also have to correct the way her brain is processing an old memory subconsciously.
Right.
So that she doesn't experience those same emotions about that memory, and when she's confronted with a similar experience moving forward, she doesn't respond in old ways.
Dan, do you see success with this?
Take away that.
You see, and apparently you're seeing great success with this.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, and forgive my ignorance on this. Is it a one-time deal, or is it just 15 minutes at a time? Like when this woman came in, are you?
No. When I work on that memory, it would be about 15 to 20 minutes on that particular memory.
Oh, okay.
I have to do prep work for it, but once we actually do the hypnosis, it's only about 15 to 20 minutes.
Right.
And then we're done. And as long as I go back and check for effectiveness and it was successful, which I know that because when the person goes and revisits the memory, they don't experience the pain and they don't experience the same feelings that they had before, then I know it was truly successful and they connected with themselves in the memory where they were able to make a change and overwrite what was there before, and we never have to work on it again. Like, we're done with that and move on. Yeah.
No wonder
There's no more therapeutic work that can actually be done on that memory. Fixed.
Now, did you come up with this? I mean, you developed this, and
I actually no, I didn't develop this. There is only a handful of us in the world that know this technique. And it has been tested and researched and everything, but there is actually only a handful of us that practice it, and it's very effective. So it's quite interesting.
Does it work on other I love food. I love food, and I know I shouldn't eat as much. I mean, I'm not like obese, but I know that I would look better if I didn't eat all the time. But I just love food. I mean, does it work on stuff like that, or is it more of a more heavy issues?
It really would depend on, I mean, I do work with that, and I do work with food issues and addiction issues, but it works, it would kind of depend on some of the areas that I would need to work on in order to correct that issue.
Oh, great. So there's more things wrong with me.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated, but I
get it.
With those issues might have to do some of this hypnosis in order to correct the way a person's responding emotionally that would then trigger them to eat or to, drink alcohol or whatever.
Yeah, because I had a buddy who he's not near what you do, but he was telling me, he said, I think the reason you eat is because you know that if you don't eat, you'll be in better shape, and that might make you more successful, and you have a fear of success. And I was like, shut up. And then I went, damn it, he's probably right.
That you have a fear of success?
Yeah, like I won't be able to handle it. Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm always striving. Lisa, yeah, we could go. I could make you'd be retired just on me. There's enough issues here that
I don't know. I've worked with probably a lot of people like you, but the thing is with you is that you probably have some really strong positive belief systems that also override the negative. So we all have negative and positive, but if the positive outweighs the negative, and we understand how to sort of manipulate our minds to refuel, then we're good. So you probably have some really strong positive belief systems that really help you to be successful.
Well, the only reason I do this podcast is because it keeps me off a building with a deer rifle because people are idiots. But I'll tell you, this is the true story. This is a very true story, Lisa. And this is when I talk about my eating. I was on tour with Reba McEntire a few years back, and we were playing Las Vegas, and the bus was leaving that day. So I went down to the breakfast shop to have breakfast, and the band was all sitting there. And I literally sat down, and the waitress said, would you like some for breakfast? And I said, yeah. I said, do you have any like yogurt and just like granola and fruit? And she goes, no. And I said, nah, just give me biscuits and gravy. There wasn't even an effort like, well, maybe I'll just have some cereals. Like, give me the worst thing on the menu.
Yeah, we love biscuits and gravy.
Let's talk a little bit, Lisa, about. I want to ask you what your take is. You probably saw it since you've been in you were Miss Vermont, by the way, which I love Vermont, by the way, beautiful state. What is your take on this thing with? Now, I want to clarify this because I don't want people thinking I'm a creep. It's the Miss Teen USA pageant that has now not going to have the swimsuit issue, which are not in swimsuits. So here's what's weird: is like, they're going to put them in athletic wear. Well, you know what? Athletic wear to me is just as revealing as bikinis. I mean, anymore. You probably have some. My wife has some. She goes to she puts on something to go to the gym. I'm like, whoa, dude, where are you going? I mean, they're the crop tops and it's basically a swimsuit is what it is with the lycra and all that. But is this a product of our society that we're like, because it has this negative connotation of putting teenagers in swimsuits and parading them on TV?
I just think that I think the pageant's trying to move in a direction that is more in alignment with the modern woman of just kind of emphasizing health and fitness, not just the results of health and fitness. Right. So I think it's more for the people at home, the viewers, to get the message that that exercise in a healthy way is good and living vitally, and that when you do it in the right way, you'll be a fit person rather than just showing these girls in bikinis with high heels on.
Yeah, that was the part I never got with the high heels thing. It was like, if you're in a bikini, act like you're at the beach.
And I think that's what it's about. And I think you're absolutely right that active wear can be just as, I guess, revealing as swimsuits.
I'll be telling you, there's girls at my gym that I went, whoa, what is that? What is that you're wearing or not wearing?
But I think more women at home can relate to this because, I mean, most people wear activewear, on a daily basis. They're not walking around in their swimsuits with heels on. So I think it's more relatable. And I think the pageant is moving more in the direction of showing these beautiful women as being smart and successful. And
right. Now, do you see this happening with like the Miss USA, the Miss Universe? I mean, is this a thing that you think could be moving on to other pageants? Are they just waiting to see how successful or unsuccessful it is?
With the swimsuit, I think that they'll probably move it into the Miss USA and maybe even Miss Universe. I think that they should maybe do a combination. I'm very much a both-and type of person. Right. They should have actually done the active wear coupled with the swimsuit. Yeah. And kind of show them in both ways.
Okay, now here's my question. Why like on the opposite end, why couldn't I run for Mr. Universe? It has to be a bodybuilding thing. Why couldn't they just? Hey, why don't they have?
Are you willing to wear a swimsuit and heels, Bill?
Oh, honey, if you had any idea. No, but I mean, like when these girls come out and they have the talent competition, why do we not have a guy competition like that, like a Mr. USA, but it's not these muscle heads? Why not have a guy that's like a very educated, good-looking guy? They go, what would you think about? They don't ask the bodybuilders, how would you change the world? It's like. I wonder why we don't, because nobody would watch it because it'd be dull. But it's funny to watch how TV is changing the way we're and I think that the way that
they're asking these women such very tough questions about how to change the world that our politicians can't even answer.
Oh, if they asked me that question, I'd be like, what?
I know. And every single pageant, there's always, I feel so bad because there's a contestant that just freezes up. It's hard to answer those questions in a minute.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, and you're on TV. There's millions of people watching. And they go, so if you were going to change the molecular balance of the genome that makes the dachshund dog, you're like, what? No, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I just want to wear high heels and walk back and forth. It's like. So now let me ask this. Now, Lisa, we're talking about before you came on. I was telling Austin, my engineer, that back to the marriage thing, because I do feel like people have this, and I'm glad to hear that I'm at least semi-correct in what you're thinking too, is that people sometimes go into the marriage thinking it's this perfect thing and it's not going to happen. And I said, that's why I don't think, and I'm going to say this, I don't think celebrities should ever get married. If you're at the top of your game, because I was telling Austin that when I had my sitcom, the young lady Nancy Travis, who's just a magnificent person, we used to laugh about how we had the perfect marriage because we showed up separately, we had separate dressing rooms, we didn't have to pay bills, and somebody else took care of the kids. And so what happens is I see these actors and actresses doing these, they're on set location for 7 months, and they think that, we're made for each other, and then they get home, they get married, and then 3 months later, they're divorced because guess what? Life settled in. It's like you didn't have the PA bringing you coffee and making sure that your pillow was fluffed up in your trailer. And I honestly think I think that people, especially like in this country that aren't in the business, that's why magazines like People Magazine and Us and all these things, that's why they're in business, because people live what's the word? Not vicariously. Thank you, Austin. People live vicariously through these people, and I don't think we're setting a good example for these people, because I think that we show these relationships in movies and stuff, they're always perfect, and it's like, that's not the way it is.
Well, not everybody in love gets married, and not everybody who's married is in love. And so I think that
I'm going to write that
there's
one down.
Definitely a lot of people that are in marriages, and those marriages are mediocre, and they settle, and then they feel kind of chained into the marriage because they don't want to get divorced or they don't want to.
Right.
Leave
now, do you see people before they get married? I mean, do you have people that come to you and say, maybe kids come to you and say, we're getting married, we want to know if we're compatible? I mean,
no, not usually. People usually come to a marriage counselor when they're in a big problem in their relationship.
when they've hit the dumps.
In a big problem.
Wouldn't that be nice, though, somebody showed up at your office one day and said, by the way, we're just great?
Usually that's after therapy, but
because you're that good.
Yeah, but they usually wait till the problem. Everybody tries to handle their problems on their own, first, and they want to believe that they can fix themselves, and that sometimes they end up doing the same things over and over again and getting the same result, and then they finally get to the point where the relationship is completely on the brink, where it's sort of like a do or die, where they then look to counseling.
Now, let me ask you, because I want to ask you, there's a couple things I want to ask, because, of my fans that are listening and stuff. And, what would you say to someone out there who's listening, whose marriage is in trouble, and I'm sure you see this a lot, that one is willing to go to counseling, but the other one is not. How would you, I know I'm asking you to answer a question that's probably been, is a 60-minute discussion, but in a short, abbreviated fashion, what would your advice to that person be?
Well, you see that all the time. You see it a lot where one might be more invested and the other isn't. It's very hard to do marriage counseling with a couple when one will go to therapy and the other won't. So you have to work with the one that wants to be in therapy. Mm-hmm. And you have to help them work on themselves so that they can sort of infuse change in the relationship by making these changes on themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you actually can work on the relationship with only one person in the room. You actually don't have to have both people in the room in order to do marriage therapy or counseling. But you have to see a systemic marriage and family therapist to do it, because it's very, it's different. It's a different way of working. to be able to work with families who aren't in the room.
Right. Yeah, that would
one change
that would be
actually
hard.
affects other. One change will actually have a trickle effect in the family system and affect other members.
Mm-hmm.
So even if one person improves and their symptoms are improving or they're just becoming better and stronger, if, say, the partner at home is used to that person being weak and they're used to controlling them, they're going to have a reaction to the person or the patient that you're working with getting stronger and better and having a voice. So as a marriage and family therapist, I have to take that into account and recognize that that partner at home may be trying to sabotage my patient's progress, and then I have to do things to kind of manage that.
Well, yeah, if you got a guy that's like, hey, baby, get me a beer, and all of a sudden she goes, you know what? Why don't you get your own beer? Yeah, that's, listen, I know I've met a lot of people like, what? Because, I think a lot of it, too, at least is generational. It's like, Liz, I tweeted out a picture the other day of me ironing, and you would believe how many people said, you iron your own clothes? It's like, yeah, it's called being, it's like, my wife's not my slave, but I think there was a generation that, moms, they did the laundry, they ironed. I remember my mom used to iron our sheets. It's like, really?
I think what's important, it's not, like I said, it's not one size fits all. Every relationship has their own rules and standards and the way of interacting, and what's right for one relationship isn't right for another. Every relationship sort of has a culture of its own.
Right.
So even as a marriage and family therapist, I can impose my own personal views on a family or on a relationship. I have to work within the system, within the culture and the thinking process of the family system.
So now, let me ask you this question. Have you ever had anybody walk into your office and when they left you went, ugh, I can't fix this?
Not really, because
I love that. I love that you're that confident. Because you probably have heard stuff that the rest of us would go, whoa, what? But,
I think that one of the biggest hindrances from people, the only thing that frustrates me sometimes is when people start to feel really good and then they think that therapy is finished, and they don't realize that some things haven't actually been fixed yet, so that if they don't continue, it's going to just pop up for them further down the road.
It's like when they tell you to finish the whole prescription.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that will frustrate me, like if they're kind of getting in their own way and trying to change the structure of the treatment plan, and then it's like interfering with the work and it's complicating. But typically, if they come into treatment and they come into therapy, they make progress.
Right. It's
just like if they're not putting the time into it, that will frustrate me sometimes.
I bet. Well, listen, my love, I could talk to you for hours. I know you're extremely busy, and you have no idea how much it meant to me that you were on the podcast. Hopefully, one of these days I'll get to meet you because I could talk to you for hours. You're just a fascinating person, and trust me, you could probably do a lot of good for me. But real quick, if people want to get hold of you, how can they get hold of you?
They can call the Renew Center at 800-557-6090 or visit the website at therenewcenter.com.
Great. I will put that out there because I'm sure that there are people who will be contacted because you seem, A, like a wonderful person, and B, the kind of person that people can open up to. And Lisa, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks so much, Bill. Have a great afternoon.
All right, you too. Tell everybody in Palm Springs I said hey.